Fuck. Jesus Christ. With your mobility, so your hips and your ankles, and like the lengths of the different bits of your body. By fuck. Yes. What's happening? Okay, so I realized that all I'd showed in this channel food-wise so far was protein pancakes, so I thought I might show you something healthy. So you're probably like, Killian, why you started this video off with some dinner? But this is my breakfast. Whoa, mind blown. I'm starting off with this because I find that if I eat something savory like this early on in the day, that I'm not craving like chocolate and stuff like that. Whereas if I had protein in the morning, I might think during the day, oh, chocolate bar would be nice. And then I'll get fat as fuck. But, so having this early in the morning, another reason I'm having it early in the morning is because that tonight I'll be editing upstairs and I know I won't want to come down to come prep food like this. This took like 25 minutes, so if you're saying you don't have time to make food, don't skip an episode of Stranger Things or something. But I'm eating this for breakfast, Brinner we'll call it, because later on I know I won't have time and I'm gonna just have something like protein oats just to knock out the macros. So I'm getting all the health in now. So as I said, broccoli, carrots, health, sweet potato, health and carbs, turkey burger, protein, fuzzy gains. So yeah, hopefully you now know how to make a nutritious, healthy lunch slash breakfast slash dinner whenever you want to eat it. Pick up with you guys at La Gym. Bye bye. Okay, so today we're going to kind of talk about foot position in the squat, as well as keep the role of like keeping your foot active and how to do it. So starting off with foot position, this will be based a lot on your biomechanics, so like the length of your femurs in relation to your torso. So what you can see with me is that my knee to hip, which is your femur length, is very, very close to the same length as my torso. Therefore, to keep the bar straight above the center of your toe, I have to come forward. So to kind of minimize this leverage at the back, what I do is I widen my stance and push my knees out, because then you don't have to travel as far forward. This is just me, so you'll have to base it for yourself. If you find that your knee to hip is very short in comparison to your torso, you can keep a narrower stance. A lot of it is personal preference as well. Some people like a narrow stance. Most people like a slightly externally rotated stance because it gives you space to sit down into. So now with the bar, just as an example, to show you the feet position, some people can squat like this. For me, this isn't gonna work. You can already see how far forward I have to fall. This is a wider than centered stance with slightly externally rotated, which works. But obviously the best for me is wide and to externally rotate my feet and then push my knees out over them, because I can stay relatively straight up. Show from the side. As I said, this is narrow, so to keep the bar over the middle of my foot. You can see how far over I have to fold. This is kind of mid-width, so you can see I still pelvically tilt my ass a bit there, and then my actual stance is pretty wide, and it's fairly upright. Keeping your foot active. So a lot of people forget about this. What you have to do is push your foot into the outside of your shoe and track your knee over your toe. This is just going to keep this all stacked so that you're not caving in. The way you do this, and a way to show it, is if you put something under the ball of your foot and think about pushing out over that, all the weight should be on the outside of your foot, not caving inwards. So putting something like this or tissue under it will help you just to feel what that should look like and feel like. The thing that'll dictate how narrow or wide you have to go on the squat is how much dorsiflexion flexibility you have. So how far you can get your knee over your toe in the squat. So if you can get a lot of dorsiflexion, you can go narrower than if you have to go wide and you can only get that much. So that's kind of why people wear weightlifting shoes. It's one of the reasons. Another is the stable base. But as you can see, there's a raised heel. So this raised heel can give, I'll go like this, door. This gives you more dorsiflexion, which is your ankle mobility going forward, how far over your toes your knees can go. I said, for me personally, wide stance, externally rotated toes, and then you're pushing into the outside of your shoe and putting all your weight in the outside of your foot and tracking your knees over your toes. So it'll look like this.
Oh hey, so I got that foot activation thing from the triage method.
It's just something that's really helped my squat, and I've really felt it help me track my knees over my toes a lot, which was something I'd have struggled with. My knees would have caved in rather than staying like stacked. So I said I'd share it and still give them credit. So that's just, I'm gonna go with the music actually. Those are just two things to kind of keep in mind when you're deciding on your squat width, like your feet position, is your mobility, so your hips and your ankles, how mobile you are with them, and like knee pain can come into that as well. And your biomechanics, so like your general lengths of your body, so like your femur length in relation to your actual torso, that can kind of dictate how wide you have to go to not cave forward a load. Okay, so I forgot to record the rest of the workout that I did. I just recorded one set of deadlifts and one set of leg extensions, so I might put them in after this raw. But yeah, hope you learned something. Hope it's something to take away from this. My arm is so tired. I don't know how people do that for prolonged periods of time. Okay, I'm talking shit. I need to come up with like some goodbye message or statement. But for now, we're just gonna stick with peace out. You thought it was done. Should have known I'd forget something. Personal preference can play a part too. Some people just prefer wider stances with very externally rotated. Also, externally rotated means pointed out rather than internally rotated, which is pointed in, as you might have gotten from external and internal. But yeah, personal preference could play a part. Just play around with different stance widths. You're not gonna know what actually suits you until you try it out. And record yourself from the side and the front, because you can get different ideas. Like if you record from the front, you might see that your knees are caving in, and if you record from the side, you might see that your ass is cocking out like a chicken. That was a terrible example, but like a chicken, which can just cause back pain and just isn't going to be ideal. You can also see, it's a really good example of like seeing your femur length in relation to your torso. I'll throw a picture of mine in somewhere in the video because I have such stupid dimensions for squatting. That's why I low bar, but that's a completely different video. I'm rambling now. Okay, peace out again. Bye.